Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed Podcast. Okay, if you haven't listened to episode 112 or 113, first of all, shame on you. Secondly, fuck off.
Right.
Thirdly,
What the fuck you been doing?
yeah, what the hell? Have you not been following us? But anyways, we've been talking about Aleister Crowley. Aleister Crowley. So we left off, and we were about to get into his later years. So we're going to talk about Tunisia, Paris, and London in 1923 to 29. Crowley went to Tunisia, and he had poor health at this time. He unsuccessfully tried again to give up heroin. So he was extremely addicted to heroin in his middle age to later life. He had a good run, though. I gotta give him. Yeah. Yeah, a little bit. He was addicted to coke, did peyote.
Here's my thing. He grows up wealthy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Runs it out. Who wouldn't? Who the fuck wouldn't? If I was left a fortune by my father, my dead father, he's now dead, my father, you know what I mean? So I don't have him breathing down my neck.
Right.
And I have a shit ton of money.
Right.
I'm going to burn through it, dude. Doing exactly what drug-wise.
Yeah.
What this motherfucker did. I'm not saying I would get into the witchcraft part of it.
Or the fucking boys. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I would take debauchery
to that level.
But would I be addicted to LSD and cocaine and heroin?
Oh, yeah.
And absolutely.
Right. Well, not heroin, not for me, because I would die, but, I could do it once. It'd be the ultimate high because I'd never come back. So, while he was in Tunisia, he began writing Confessions of Aleister Crowley.
But, it's not like he's just a drug addict either.
No, he's also an artist.
He's traveled the world.
Well, see,
I don't know that
he was what eventually became known as a hippie or a bohemian in the 60s. He just did it a long time before the hippie culture took off.
Yeah.
That's why he was so, the rock stars of the 60s and 70s were such a fan of this guy. Because he was a hippie and a bohemian before bohemians and hippies were a thing.
Yeah.
He was your artistic guy who traveled around to different countries, did what he wanted to, did as much drugs as he wanted to, and practiced all kinds of weird magical shit and wrote a bunch of articles and did a bunch of paintings.
Right.
Right. So, when he was in Tunisia, he got a public relations consultant, and then he employed a local young boy of 13 or 14.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. As his servant. Then he went to a retreat with the young boy, and they performed, of course, sex magic together.
It doesn't say that.
Yes, it does.
Wow.
Yeah. He got himself, he's in his 60s at this point.
That's a little too free for me.
He's in his 60s at this point, getting young boys from Tunisia. And let's go over here. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you let me fuck you in the ass, we're going to perform some sex magic.
But see, is that what sex magic, is?
I don't know. According to him, it was. I just think he wanted to fuck young boys.
Practicing sex magic. Does that mean, having sex?
Well, I mean,
or does it mean,
some type of magic involving sex? I mean, I think he just wanted to fuck people in the ass and needed a reason to do it.
Right.
Hey, look, we can call upon the spirit and you'll have success your whole life. All you gotta do is spread that butt cheeks, buddy.
It's fascinating to me to think that, if I'm strung out on heroin, dude, I'm gonna be curling up on the fucking couch at home in the fucking dark, dude. I'm not gonna be in Tunisia having fucking sex with 13-year-olds. I mean, that's crazy. At least I like to think I wouldn't be.
So, anyways, after this little sex romp he had with the little 14-year-old, he went and had a nasal operation, and then he wrote about the guy that developed the Nasal Institute there, and he said he had a positive experience there. Then he traveled back to America, and he met a follower of his, a Miss Dorothy Olson, who he took back to Tunisia for a magical sexual retreat in Nefta, where he had the little boy. Of course he does. He goes and has sex with this dude.
It was really pleasant.
And he goes off. He goes, well, I need some nasal surgery. So he has nasal surgery. Stays at the institute for a little while. Then he goes and hooks up with some chick in America.
I was like, hey, you want to go back to Tunisia, girl? I got some fucking heroin.
So at this
really
time,
good plastic surgery.
Yeah.
The fuck?
He also wrote at this time To Man, which was a declaration of his own status as a prophet, and entrusted his religion Thelma to humanity. So
what
then
What if you fucked the 14-year-old boy in the ass? But what if part of the deal was, I'm going back to America. I'm going to find you a fucking American bitch. I'm going to bring her back here and let the 14-year-old fuck her.
No, he dismissed the 14-year-old after he left Tunisia. Then he went to...
Well, I'm saying, what if he did?
Got nasal surgery, then he went to America.
Wouldn't that'd be...
Well, at least that would have been a little bit better for the poor 14-year-old.
Right.
So, then after all of this, he goes back to Paris.
I just like everybody to win.
So he goes back to Paris, and then in early 1925, he returns to Tunisia. And he wrote The Heart of the Master in 1938, an account of visions he experienced in a trance where people were talking to him. So in March, Olson, this Dorothy Olson lady, became pregnant. She miscarried, though. And right after she miscarried, Crowley took her back to France. And then he denounced her. Well, bitch. Look, I've had fun, but you had a miscarriage. You're not having my kid, so you gotta go the fuck away.
Right.
Right. Jesus. So then in 1928, Crowley met a Nicaraguan.
Whoa, watch
Nicaraguan. Well, she's from Nicaragua. Maria Therese Sanchez. So, and at that time, Crowley was deported from France by the authorities, who disliked his reputation.
You did. Enough of this, motherfucker.
Yeah, you got to get out of France.
Dude, get the fuck out.
Yeah, you're done.
Right, dude.
We're done with this
I ain't
fucking
doing
sex
this
magic
shit.
bullshit.
This
that
dude
you
was
keep
like
doing.
Liam Neeson and Taken. Like, dude, get this dude the fuck out of here.
What the fuck
He's,
is going on?
he's fucking running ransack over the entire goddamn city of Paris.
Well, they disliked his
This
reputation and feared that he was a German agent. So this chick, Maria, she joined him in Britain, and Crowley ended up marrying her in August of 1929. So now he's in London, and the Mandrake Press agreed to publish his autobiography. They also published his novel Moonchild and a book of short stories. They also published something called The Legend of Aleister Crowley, an analysis of the media coverage that was surrounding him. So from 1930 to 1938, he lived in Berlin, and he took Hanny Jaeger as his magical partner, which really means He was just fucking him and saying, "This is some magic.
Yeah.
It's a kind of magic." My Dick Grant's wishes, Jason.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's delicious.
Everything's magical with this dude.
But his relationship with Hanny Yeager was troubled. Now, given he's still married to this other chick from all accounts at this point.
Give a fuck.
So,
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
So then in September, he just bounces on this relationship and moves to Lisbon in Portugal to meet the poet Fernando Pessoa. There he decided to fake his own death. He did so with Pessoa's help. He then returned to Berlin, where he reappeared 3 weeks later at the opening of his art exhibit at the Gallery of Nerfendorf. Few of his art pieces were sold, but the press reports were largely favorable. In 1931, he took Bertha Bush as his new lover.
Fuck yeah.
They had a violent relationship and often physically assaulted each other. While he was with her, he continued to have affairs with both men and women while in the city of Berlin. Just, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
This guy, and he wonders why he had syphilis at a young age and gonorrhea. Motherfucker fucks anything moving, dude.
That's why Bertha Bush was fucking swinging.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's fucking her. He's out here fucking dudes and chicks. Whoever happens to come around the neighborhood.
Got her all fucking itched up and shit, dude. Fucking just doused in syphilis.
So at this time, he also met Aldous Huxley and Alfred Adler, and he befriended them. In 1932, he took the communist Gerald Hamilton as a lodger.
What's a lodger?
Someone who, like a tenant, paid him rent to live at his house. Many say that at this time he was operating as a British spy in Berlin for British intelligence at the time, monitoring the communist activity and movement. So Crowley left Bush in Berlin and returned to London.
See, bitch.
Where he started fucking Pearl Brooksmith. He had to undergo further nasal surgery for his septum, which was deviated from extreme cocaine use.
Snorting. Shit up his nose.
Yeah.
He's a bad motherfucker.
He's like, I gotta have some more nasal surgery. But it was.
I'm not stopping.
No.
If that's what you think, Bertha, I'm going to fucking London. You can kiss my ass.
It almost seems like this guy
Pearl.
was a spy for the British this whole time. Because think about this.
It's very.
They said he ran out of money way before this, but he was all over the world. He was in America, then he's in Portugal, he's in Berlin, then he's back to Tunisia. He is almost like a James Bond on drugs. Because it's almost like he's being sent on these missions. He's fucking these random women and men. He's keeping this cover of, I'm a bohemian poet, even though his paintings and his writings aren't that great.
Right.
Almost like this is his cover story to be this bohemian, world-traveling poet guy. And in reality, what he's doing is sending all the information back to Berlin, or back to the British going, hey, this is what the communists doing over in Berlin. Hey, we need to watch out for Germany, bub. They're getting a little out of pocket over here.
Yeah, because he's doing all this shit, and at one point it said he was broke.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't seem to me like he's selling a whole bunch of shit.
Right. So
somebody's fucking funding this motherfucker.
Yeah. Right. So it seems like he's going around the world on somebody's dime.
Very, very
and
close.
for reasons.
Right.
So, anyways, he got more nasal surgery. He Was also invited to speak at the National Laboratory for Physical Research while he was in London. He was in need of more money, so he launched a series of court cases against people whom he believed had libeled him.
Brilliant.
And some of them proved successful. He gained a lot of publicity for his lawsuit against Constable and Company for publishing Nina Hammett's Laughing Torso, a book he alleged libeled him by referring to his occult practices and black magic. Some of the court cases added to Crowley's financial problems, and in 1935, he declared he was bankrupt. During the hearing, it was revealed that Crowley was spending 3 times as much as he was making for several years.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
No shit.
So right after his court problems, he met a lady named Deidre Patricia Dorothy. She begged him to bear his child. And his child was born in May of 1937, and they named him Randall Gare Crowley, nicknamed Alistair Otturk. But he died in a car accident in 2002 at the age of 65. So he was alive till 2002.
What year was Crowley born?
Oh, good God, you're going to have me going back. I think it was the early 1900s. Let me look. Yeah. Hold on. He was born in 1875.
Yeah, so he's having this kid at like 67 years old.
Yeah! And that's what I said. For as many drugs as this motherfucker did, he's
like any fucking rock star, though, dude.
Yeah, he lived for a long time. I mean, you got to figure this is. He had a kid in 1937. He was born in 75. So I mean, like you said, he's in his 60s, late 60s at this point.
Yeah,
and still traveling the world doing heroin and shit,
right?
And fucking business.
He's been preserved.
Yeah. He continued to socialize with friends after having this kid, and he started holding curry parties where he cooked extremely spicy food, claiming it had prolonged his life.
I mean, hey.
So in 1936, he published another book, The Equinox of the Gods. It was his first book in 6 years. The work sold well, resulting in a second print run. In 1937, he gave a series of public lectures on yoga in Soho. He was living now largely off contributions supplied by his lodge in California from his religion, Thelma. And it was led by Jack Parsons, which was a rocket scientist. People probably know who Jack Parsons is. He was intrigued right now by the rise of Nazism in Germany and influenced by his friend Martha Kunzel, who believed that Adolf Hitler might convert to Crowley's religion, Thelma. When the Nazis abolished the German OTO and imprisoned Germaner, who fled to the U.S., Crowley then labeled Hitler as a black magician. When the Second World War broke out, Crowley wrote the Naval Intelligence Division offering his services as a magician, but they declined.
Well, dude, it's that crazy you said something about that Jack Parsons dude, because I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about how this motherfucker thought that it was possible that Crowley and Parsons fucking basically opened up the fucking portal to start letting fucking UFOs into
yeah, a lot of people think this.
And that's right then, dude. 37 is 10 years before Roswell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, the Nazis were into some fucked up shit.
Well, he also was well known at this time to be consulting with many of the British intelligence community, and it has been said that Crowley was the first one to originate the V for Victory sign used by the BBC in World War II, that V for Victory sign.
Right.
In 1940, his asthma was worsened, and his German-produced medication was unavailable. He returned to using heroin, and once again became an addict.
At 65.
Yeah, at 60. Yeah, well, it was 1940, so yeah. As the Blitz hit London, Crowley was admitted to a hospital with asthma, and he entertained himself with local visits from the chess club. Crowley then was developing plans to produce a tarot card set designed by him and painted by Harris. And then he published a book in a limited edition, the Book of Thoth, by Cheswick Press. And to aid the war effort, he wrote a proclamation of the rights of humanity, the Liberal Oz, a poem for the liberation of France. In 1944, Crowley briefly moved to Aston Clinton and Buckshire, where he visited poets. But then he relocated to Sussex, where he took up residence in a boarding house. He then took a young man named Kenneth Garrett as his secretary, paying him in magical teachings rather than wages.
That's great.
Probably sexual magical teachings.
Yeah.
Let me teach you how to take this dick in the ass, boy. Let me show you.
Let me show you how to do an honest day's work for no fucking money. Get over here.
So, while he was living in Sussex, on December 1st, 1947, Crowley died at Netherwood of chronic bronchitis aggravated by pleurisy and myocardial degeneration, which means he died of basically
fucking his
heart disease. Yeah. He was 72. So his funeral was held at Brinton Crematorium on December 5th, and about a dozen people attended. Crowley's body was cremated. His ashes were sent to Carl Germer in the U.S., who buried them in the garden in Hampton, New Jersey. His belief system, Thelma, has been described by scholars as a religion, and more specifically as both a new religious movement and a magico-religious doctrine. It has also been the form of modern paganism. In his autobiography, Crowley wrote that his purpose in life was to bring Oriental wisdom to Europe and to restore paganism in a pure form, although what he meant by paganism was unclear. Crowley believed that the 20th century marked humanity's entry into the Aeon of Horus, a new era in which humans would take increasing control of their destiny. He believed that this Aeon follows on the Aeon of Osiris, in which religions like Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism dominated the world, and that this, in turn, had followed the Aeon of Isis, which was maternalistic and dominated by goddess worship. He believed that Thelma was the proper religion for the Aeon of Horus, and also deemed himself the prophet of the new Aeon. Thelma revolves around the idea that human beings each have their own true will and they should discover and pursue, and that this exists in harmony with the cosmic will that pervades the universe. Crowley referred to this process of searching and discovery as one true's will to the great work. or attaining knowledge for the holy guardian angel. Basically, Crowley was a do-anything kind of guy, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Basically, what he did was, his whole life, he traveled around the world, had sex with numerous people, and did drugs.
Yeah.
Yes. And wrote poetry. Like I said, he was the beginning of what would become the hippie lifestyle in the 1960s.
And like you said, it's very possible he was a spy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it seems like he was a spy.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he was broke because he was spending way more money than he was making, but that was in his later life.
Yeah.
I mean,
the lifestyle he chose to live doesn't mean he wasn't a great spy.
Yeah. I mean, you know, he sounds like James Bond before James Bond was James Bond. Yeah. I mean, he really does. I mean, if you think about it, he traveled all around the world doing drugs and fucking bitches. And relaying information back to the British government about what's going on. I mean, that would be the only reason that you would travel to all these random places.
Yeah.
To give information back to the government, say, hey, this is what's going on here. Oh, wait, I got to go to Portugal tomorrow.
Yeah, I got to go to Tunisia.
There wasn't any specific reason he was going to these places.
Got booted out of France. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he spent a lot of time in Germany around World War I and World War II.
Yeah.
Which tells me that he was telling the British exactly what was going on in Germany. Mm-hmm. Oh, don't mind me. I'm just Crowley, this poet who does a bunch of drugs. You ain't got to mind me. I mean, that'd be the perfect cover.
Yeah, I mean, all this fucking weird magic.
Yeah, they're just dismissing him as this guy who's
crazy motherfucker
coming into town, doing some drugs. He's going to hang around a bit. Oh, we don't have to worry about old Crowley.
Yeah.
Clearly, Crowley's not giving information.
He'll be in Nicaragua next week.
Yeah. He's not giving information back to the British or anything. No, not Crowley.
He's a crazy old
bastard. He's a crazy old bastard who's just going to do some coke and fuck some bitches.
Fucked up on heroin.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that was our episodes on old Aleister Crowley. According to most accounts, the most evil man ever existed. But of course, I don't see most of what he did as that evil. I mean, other people did much more evil things than he did. All he did was live his life and fuck a bunch of people and do some drugs.
I think it was because it was so, at the time that he did it, it was so...
A foreign concept?
Yeah,
what's funny is that like 30, 40 years later, after he did, 30, 40...
Yeah, it's commonplace
60,
now.
Yeah, 60, so 20 years later.
Yeah.
In the 60s, it was, everybody was doing what he was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, late 60s, hell, that was the lifestyle.
And why not?
Yeah, hippie fucking, let's
Aleister did it.
Yeah. Aleister, but yeah, they called him evil because he was doing it 20 to 30 years before it was commonplace shit. I mean, how many people lived that lifestyle? I mean, but he also did influence some bad people. I mean, Manson was a studier of Crowley's, you know, and lived his lifestyle based on Crowley's books and his magic, you know.
Yeah. Oh,
but he also
had a big influence.
Yeah, he influenced the Stones, Ozzy, Manson. I mean, but anyways, this was our episode on Crowley, and I hope you enjoyed it. And we will see you next time.
Later.